Where'd you go, Matt? Think you went the wrong way? All right, go that way. This way, here. Wave, Matt. Wave. They all had their pumpkins.
They're told he's not gonna walk. He's not gonna be able to feed himself. He's not gonna be able to do any physical activity. He's gonna be wheelchair bound. Most kids either end up blind, deaf, or dead. And my mom and dad, they said no. My name is Matt Honchin. I was born with a bone and joint condition where bones would either be missing or fused.
We're looking at each other, and the doctor, I don't remember the doctor really saying anything.
Something was wrong. I knew something was wrong because everybody in the operating room was acting very strange. There was a lot of running around, and they took Matt and they actually took him out of the room. Then they took my husband out of the room, and he came back, and I could tell he had been crying and stuff. You know, I just wanted to make sure he was alive. He was born with some physical things, and that they had to take him to different areas of the hospital to have some tests done before I could see him.
But then as we went on, they, had told us what things could be, or orthogyposis, I think, was the first sign of something wrong, disability, I guess.
So Matthew has tarsal and carpal coalition and some phalangism of the Furman type.
I also had a cranial deficiency where essentially my head looked warped. The soft spot of the top of the baby's head was like moved. I think it was 2 weeks into me being born was major skull surgery. So it was major skull surgery, full reconstruction of the skull. I have a scar from ear to ear, actually, full across the head, and they take apart the whole skull like a jigsaw puzzle, since it's still kind of developing and soft, and they actually have to lay it back together. You know, my life was in and out of hospitals a lot in the beginning of my childhood. Doctor's visits, whatnot, back and forth from the city constantly. I would have a snowman that I would have with me like all the time, every time I went in. For anybody that has never been under it, it is weird and frightening all at the same time, because you lay there and I would freak out because you're breathing in this gas and everybody's looking like down at you. And they would be like, all right, we're counting down from 10. And it would be 10, 9, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7. And it would just echo, echo. And then it would feel like everybody was getting farther and farther away as you're being like pulled down. All of a sudden your body's just heavy and everything goes black. But it's like you blink, because as soon as everything goes black and you're out, you wake up. And little did you know, you've been out for about 15 hours. But it feels like you just closed your eyes for 2 seconds. And apparently they either didn't give me enough, or I didn't take in as much as I should have, because at one point I woke up, which is not a good thing, and I saw what they were doing to my leg and foot. So one of the doctors notices, basically goes, oh shit, and puts the mask back on me and knocks me out again. Now that's 2 doses of anesthetic. So at that point, that's how you put down an animal or something, is you give him 2 doses, because that ends it.
You know, we knew he was getting close to like maybe standing or something, because the crawling, he was getting really frustrated. He was at his grandparents', he was spending the night. They called us and they were like, he stood up and he went from one side of the coffee table to the other. We were like, what? Are you kidding me? I've been waiting for this for a year, year and a half.
Elementary school, kids are a little more forgiving, especially since you're close-knit. I would say middle school was where I think I had the first biggest issue of someone actually calling me out on being handicapped. This big kid comes over, who I joke with. He jokes with me. It was, we're not friends, but we knew each other. So he was saying something and I kind of made fun of real quick, jokingly, of how he said something. And the kid behind him decided to say, "Why don't you shut up, cripple?" To which at that point, and we'll never forget any of this, all of my friends had simultaneously turned and stared this dude down, with about 2 or 3 of them ready to jump. So I looked over, I told them all, just stop. It's not worth it.
On the rare occasion that Matthew did have somebody bully him, his friends were right. His friends would beat people up if they even said anything cross to Matt. It was amazing that they had that kind of respect and care for Matt. He was very lucky. I thank his friends to this day.
I never really worried because he had a good group of friends, so I never worried about him being out there. He just had a great group of guys with him. They always involved him in everything, and they didn't look at him as having any, it's Matt. It was Matt. That's all it was.
My biggest thing with Matt is just seeing someone you don't expect to be this, bright and chipper and often sarcastic individual, but he takes everything he does in stride, and he never gives up in any kind of hard moment, and he'll push as hard as he can until he really can't anymore. And it's admirable to really see people in his position do that. He gave me a ton of support. I lost my mom to cancer actually about 1.5 years ago, and he was one of the first people I told about it, and he was always there for me every single day, every step of the way until she passed away, unfortunately. And, between my own girlfriend and Matt, I really couldn't ask for a better support system.
My condition means nothing. I mean, really what it comes down to is you don't really see it as a limitation because you've kind of found ways to go beyond the limitation. So really it's just, all right, you normally see somebody do something this way, and I can't do it that way. So how can I do it that way?
All right, so for typing, it's a pain in the butt because how it can normally be is everybody's right there and you can reach everything. That's what you learn in typing school. For me, I have to because I have less mobility, I have to move around, but I've gotten to it where I can be very quick about it. I don't get nearly enough pressure if I do it with one hand. It's kind of so I use this to hold it and this to...
So when somebody's born with one leg longer than the other, or what they'll do is they put this method on, and then you have to crank. It forces the other bone to catch up with the other bone. So that was absolutely the most horrific thing probably any of us had to do. And what happens is it's your bones are exposed. They're not exposed, but they're you have hardware and stuff going from one end of your bone out the other. So if you do get an infection in one of those sites, it can become a bone infection, and then you could lose the bone or the leg or...
And it turns out the pin that's in my heel is infected. Very bad. So if it continued, I could have damaged my heel and everything would have been lost. So we go to the doctors, and we say, hey, he's got to get this out. They take a look at it. Yeah, we have to get him into surgery, whatnot. Every surgery room is taken. So what do we decide? Lay him down on the table. What? Lay him down on the table. Okay. I lay down on the table on my stomach. All right, Matt. Listen to my voice. Okay, we're just looking at it, right? Yeah, no, we're just looking at it. So I lay there, whatnot. All of a sudden, I feel pressure on my heel and a yank, and that means he pulled the pin that was into my skin, into my bone, pulled it right out. I never showing people. I used to never now I don't know.
He's very self-conscious about
Yeah,
You can also see the pin where his pins
Yeah,
were.
if you want to get in, you can see every scar. One there, one there, one there, one there. No ACLs or MCLs, so I can just,
I feel the couch moving.
yeah, I can just pop my knees out.
This is very big for him to do. I'm being lazy. Now I'm around his friends. His socks are always on.
Fully, like, yeah, fully reconstructed. So, so they would cut. I have a scar going all along there. I would have a pin in the heel, pin there, a pin there, there, there. There's a scar here, scar here. These toes didn't fully develop. It's the same on both sides. My feet were never ever used to be this fully flat on the ground. It would be basically almost like that. They were never fully flat. What they did was they sanded it down. Literally sanded it down and kind of fixed it to make my foot a little bit flatter.
I knew he'd get engaged or married or whatever just because he always found a way with the ladies. Moving out was really difficult. I think much more difficult than I let anybody know. But I'm happy for him, obviously. I can only hope the best for him, hope that he's getting the help and things that he needs. He's too old for me now to say, do you need help or do you know what I mean? We're beyond that as a mother and son.
So after moving out of Matt's mom's home, I felt like he actually became a little more independent. There were certain things that I think I still helped with that his mom would, like when it comes to sometimes like cutting food. And it's the simple things that you don't really think about, as kind of like your day-to-day life. But, I'll help him, like if he's having steak or something and it's a little too tough to cut through, like I'll help him with things like that. Since we've moved out, he's learned ways to kind of cope around some of those things because he's had to. Like, I'm there to help him, but he wants to be independent, so he does it on his own.
I had talked about wanting to propose to her for a little bit. When we were talking about it, or if something would come up about it, it would be like, we have to be together for 2 years. So us going to Disney a little after our 2-year anniversary was like, okay, I definitely want to do it. Getting a ring was difficult.
I kind of figured he wasn't going to because we had kind of spoken about how he didn't have a ring, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I just want to go on vacation. I don't really care much for that.
Her aunt had her engagement ring. So last minute, I asked her uncle to meet me at a train station halfway to bring me the ring, and I would get home in time. And it was really weird. It was really shady. I pulled up to a train station. He came out. We looked at each other, shook hands, handed me the box. We looked around, and then I left. It was like a terrible drug trade.
While at Disney, it just so happened that things kept oddly aligning. Like, we got there, and they said, what are you celebrating? We said our anniversary. And they handed us little pins that said, happily ever after. They were like wedding pins. And I was like, no, not like that. Like, just, anniversary. Like, oh, it's the same thing. And I was like, oh, no, we're not doing this. Okay. And it just so happened, like, everywhere we turned, there was, like, something coupley or something having to do with, like, Beauty and the Beast, which is my favorite Disney movie, and all these little, like, connections, like, love songs playing. At the time, because of the pin, people kept congratulating us. And I was like, that's not how it goes, right? Like, you still have to ask. He was like, no, just let her go. So I got really annoyed, and I had a clatter ring on, so I put it on my finger like an engagement ring, because I was like, I'm not trying to get asked how come I don't have a ring. So I was like, but still, this is not how it happens. So we get back to the room, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go change, I'm gonna go in the pool, I'm done with today. And at that point, he felt like I was gonna kill him if he didn't do it. So I was getting changed, he went rummaging through his bag and got the ring. When I came out, he kind of had the ring behind his back, but it looked like he was holding his back, like he was in pain. So I immediately ran over, I was like, oh my God, what's the matter? And he goes into the sappy little thing, and I'm like, oh, no. And he gets down on one knee, and he proposes, and I tell him to shut up and push him on the bed and walk away.
And all she says is, shut up, pushes me on the bed, and goes to the pool. I quickly get changed to follow her.
And now we're getting married in 2020.
surgery after surgery, I was able to walk, run, and do somewhat physical activity and everything. Not to a huge extent, but there's no feeling better than walking into a doctor's office where they said, he can't. And walking in and sitting down and, saying, I can. People do say I do have a positive outlook a lot of the time. When I was younger, I did not have much more of a positive outlook. It was just, I had one, but that's because in that situation, you feel like you need to have one, because if you don't have one, then you are gonna get trapped in this cycle of, oh, woe is me, oh, I have this. You only have 4 months, essentially, of not being in something locked on your foot, or locked into something from surgery that you can go out and then kind of be yourself for a little bit.
Whole life's good with him, he's a great kid. So spending time with him is always fun. I said I wouldn't do this. I guess hoping that we did, the best we could. Good.
Oh, it's part of me. It's no matter what. And that's just what makes me me.